Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing another Planeshifted Streets of New Capenna Premier Draft. This is a Streets of New Capenna draft with some rebalances, such as the Glamorous Outlaw over here. They have reduced the cost of the mana fixing ability on this card by 1. So a lot of minor changes like that that are expected to only affect the draft format. What they said that they're trying to do is slow the format down a little bit, so aggressive decks are a little less good, and up the power of 3-color strategies a bit, so there isn't as much just 2-color aggro running around. We'll see how that affects the format here, but for now we're going to take something that is completely unchanged. Evelyn the Covetous, a very nice bomb rare, 5 mana for a 2/5 flash, can come out of nowhere and just eat one of your opponent's attackers. It's also going to allow you to exile the top card of each player's library with a collection counter on it, and once each turn you can cast one of the exiled cards, spending mana as though were mana of any color. So basically 5 mana for a 2/5 flash that draws 2 cards when she enters the battlefield. As long as she stays on the field, you're able to cast those cards. So pretty good card here. And if you can get other vampires, you can even draw more cards off of her. So really, really nice way to start the draft. For pick 2, we have a Broker's Charm and a Cabaret Charm, and both of these are sweet now. Cabaret Charm used to be one of the weaker charms, but now it's dealing damage equal to twice the number of creatures you control to a creature Planeswalker, making it a much more consistent removal spell. So both of these charms are great, however pretty hard to cast if we are in a Maestro's deck here off this Evelyn. That being said, the only thing that really works well in Maestros would be like a Mayhem Patrol. Here's a fine creature. Run Out of Town is fine interaction. Metamorphosis is a fine trick. Those are all pretty unexciting. All of the commons here are just like solid. I think I want to take one of these charms, and they're both pretty great, both pretty equally powerful. Blue, black, red, we don't overlap with either of these families at all. I guess I'll just take a Broker's Charm. But yeah, we're not missing out on too much by just speculating, taking another multicolored card there. And then now if we get past a bunch of Brokers and no Maestros, we can head in that direction. If we get past a bunch of Maestros and no Brokers, then we can head in that direction. For pick 3, we have a Snooping Newsy, which is a solid blue-black common for the Maestros deck. Masked Bandits is really easy to mana fix off of now. It's only 1 mana to use that, so that actually looks pretty solid. Does mana fix us in black-red, and it casts itself off the greens. That's kind of exciting. Ominous Parcel also got buffed. It's only 1 mana to tutor out that basic land, so that's going to be decent mana fixing for any deck. Not a super exciting pack here. These are all solid role fillers, the lands as well. Looking solid here. So lands for mana fixing, Masked Bandits or Ominous Parcel for mana fixing, or a solid common like Newsy, Fencer, Case the Joint. Nothing wild here. I'm going to take the Ominous Parcel, since that's going to be decent mana fixing for any deck we end up in. Pick 4, we see an Echo Inspector in blue as probably the strongest card in the pack. 4 mana for a 2/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, it connives, although Spar's Adjudicators is also quite powerful. And I would have said that it was very close to as powerful as Echo Inspector before, and now it's slightly more powerful. Since the mana fixing is only 1 mana to use, it means it's a better top deck late game if you don't have the green source you need to cast it. Now it's just 6 mana because of 1 mana to fix your mana and then 5 to cast it. So I actually might go with our Adjudicators here, start heading in the Broker's direction. We are seeing a lot of good blue, white, green here, like Celebrity Fencer got the buff. It's 3 toughness instead of 2 toughness, so 4 mana 3/3 that gets a +1/+1 counter every creature you play. Pretty solid. Echo Inspector, pretty solid. Yeah, take Adjudicator, see if we can go into Brokers here. We do see a Celestial Regulator. This isn't as aggressive as it was before, but a 1/4 flyer for 3 is really good at blocking. That'll slow the game down with that Enter the Battlefield effect as well, tapping things down. Another great card for grinding out a long game is the Speakeasy Server. Very good way to stabilize. A 5 mana 3/3 flyer gains you a life for each creature you control when it enters the battlefield. We probably could have been in a pretty good like blitzy kind of red-black deck with Evelyn at the top end, had we taken exclusively Maestro's cards so far, red, blue, and black. But I think we're in a pretty good position heading into Brokers right now, and I'll take a Celestial Regulator here over Speakeasy Server. A little chat's nice too if you have good sacrifice fodder, but I don't think we do. And we did get a pick 6 Broker's Charm, so it looks like Brokers is wide open, and that is where we'll be headed today. Civil Servant, another card that got changed. Instead of gaining lifelink when you tap an untapped citizen, it gains trample, which is significantly worse at racing against another aggro deck, but it can chip in for some extra damage, so I think it's still quite a solid card. 2 mana for a 2/3 with upside. But Broker's Charm is just very, very flexible, very good card here. It's a removal spell, or it's card draw, or main deck enchantment removal if your opponent gets a Rabble Rousing or one of those busted hideaway enchantments. Botanical Plaza looks great to me here. Very good mana fixing for us in green-white. Psionic Snoop. What happened to this? How is this any different? I guess it has one more toughness than it had before, so if you connive and discard a non-land card, it's a 1/5 flash. That might be significant, but definitely land over that. The card in the most contention with Botanical Plaza here is the Riveteer's Decoy, because this can be a really good play on turn 4 because you can blitz it out, force one of their creatures to trade into it and draw a card, which puts you up a card overall. So that can be really good in those positions, but it is pretty bad against 1/1, so it's a little bit risky there. So we'll just go with a card that's guaranteed good in every single game, which is a mana fixing land. Maestro's Theater doesn't help with us in Brokers. Speakeasy Server's solid, Killshot's fine. We have 2 Broker's Charms already though, for good removal. It's a lot more flexible and it can kill more things, so I don't really think I need to take Killshot super highly. Rox Pummeler is a fine way to end the game, a big old trampler. I think I prefer Speakeasy Server, really good way to stabilize. Glittermonger got the buff too. Instead of being a 4 mana 1/4, it is a 4 mana 2/4. Wow, we've got an incredible card for a Broker's deck, the Ceremonial Groundbreaker here. A lot of creatures are just randomly citizens in the Broker's color pairs, green, white, and blue. And this can equip to those for only 1 mana to give them +2/+1 and trample. And it can equip to anything for 3 if you've got the extra mana later in the game. So this can turn a lot of creatures into really big threats. Now, there are a lot of body droppers, so it really looks like we could have been either way here. Like Maestro's, at least red-black Sacrifice looks plenty open as well. I'll take a run out of town for interaction here, but Shattered Seraph is an option. If you're in Brokers, green, white, blue, you can use the Shattered Seraph in that color trio because it splashes for itself, so as long as you have a white land and a blue land, you can have this fixed for the black source. But I'd rather just take some more interaction here, take a run out of town. We're not desperate enough this early in the draft for more late game top end stuff. I can't imagine this is playable. So we could take an Observer or a Case the Joint. Case the Joint, actually, 5 mana, draw 3. It's a lot of card draw. Maybe that is pretty good now. Another Citizen here, the High Rise Sawjack. Used to be a 2/3, now it's a 1/4. So again, slower, more defensive. I think I'd rather just take a Pummeler here, get a Finisher. Another Speakeasy Server, nice and late. That's pretty nice. Pretty cool stuff there. We're definitely looking for cheap creatures. We want a lot of 2 mana Citizens is where we want to be. Cabaret Initiate, I really don't want to run it, but I guess it's possible if I get really hard cut. Well, we've opened up an excellent pack for us here because one of these uncommons is beautiful in our deck. 3 mana for a 3/2 that comes with a 1/1, so it's 4 power and 3 toughness for 3 mana, which is very above rate. It's also splitting that amongst 2 creatures, which is nice, especially with the double Speakeasy Server that cares about having a wide board, and a lot of random Cabaret cards that we could get out of green-white, so I like Mage's Attendant a lot. I think it's very powerful. Civic Gardener would be very nice in here because it is that important creature type. It is a citizen, and it's a 2-drop, which we don't have any of yet, but I think the ability to go wide so cheap is pretty valuable. Brawlers is fine, but it's not a good creature type. It's just a big slow dork. I think my pick order would be Attendant, then Gardener, then Brawlers, then Initiate. Something like that. Alright, we've got a Hold for Ransom here for more interaction. We've got Aspar's Adjudicators, which can be more mana fixing, and another Citizen, and another late game play. It's pseudo interaction as well, because it locks down a creature for a turn. I like Adjudicators a lot in this deck. There's also Exotic Pets, but I think with the kind of Citizen theme here, we're leaning more to green-white with blue as the splash, but we might just be full all 3 of our mana fixing is good enough. But right now it's not. We have 1 Plaza and maybe 2 Adjudicators if we take this. Yeah, double Broker's Charm still, and a run out of town for more interaction. I think I want to take a second Adjudicators here. Make sure our mana is very good while giving us another good late game play. Good 5-drop creature. Okay. Not much going on in this pack. I don't really see anything that I want. I guess we can take a Broker's Veteran because we don't really have any 2-mana cards yet. Although again, we are leaning more into green and white than blue, so a little awkward for our 2-mana cards to be blue. Not a huge fan of Boon of Safety or Glittermonger, even with that buff. Seems just fine. We don't need a Waterfront District. Maybe we take Halo Scarab because it's just easier to cast than Veteran. Could maybe help with the mana. Veteran's got a much better ability, though, if we have our mana in a good spot. Yeah, and maybe we can wheel the Halo Scarab. Just take the Broker's Veteran there, not so sure about that. This pick is going to be easy. This one's an excellent one. Rafine's Informant is one of the best 2-drops in the entire set. A 2-mana 2/1 that connives when it enters the battlefield, allowing you to draw a card and discard a card, and if you discard a non-land card, you're getting a 2-mana 3/2 that just lets you have some card selection, which is an absolutely ridiculous deal. It's an incredibly efficient card, and I'm very happy to take it. There are other great cards in the pack, like Ominous Parcel, Metamorphosis, Celebrity Fencer, but Informant is just incredible. Okay, Dapper Shieldmate is fine. As is a Chrome Cat, that's also fine. I already have a couple like really good 3-mana cards. Disdainful Stroke's also probably okay. It's very good against the mana fixing cards because you know exactly when they're going to try to cast them to counter them. Disdainful Stroke probably goes pretty late though. Just take a Shieldmate, get more dorks in the deck. Social Climber did get a buff, a 3-mana 4/2 now. Pretty exciting. We've got a Shattered Seraph for a big late game play. I think I have a lot of those though. Rox Pummeler, double Adjudicators already. Sewer Crocodile also got a buff. It's bigger than it was before. I don't remember how big it was before, but that is a really big crocodile. Now, I might just take a Disdainful Stroke out of this pack. Revelation of Power is a solid trick too, but I like the idea of Disdainful Stroke in a format where so many cards are revealed out of hand, like the Adjudicators. Backup Agent, another incredible 2-drop. We did get another Adjudicators here, which would also be awesome, but I really want to make sure I have enough cheap creatures, and this one's perfect because it's also a Citizen. This card plays really, really well in this format. There's a lot of creatures that it's valuable to put a counter onto as well, like Flyers or Lifelinkers or Double Strikers. If you can pick up any of those, and Brokers does have a few of those, so we'll see. Definitely take that there. Majestic Metamorphosis is a fine trick. Don't really think I need a third Speakeasy server, and I'm not going to main deck a Broken Wings, so Metamorphosis or Killshot it is. And again, for that Killshot, I have 2 Broker's Charm, Run Out of Town, and Disdainful Stroke, which I think I prefer as interaction. So I'll take a Metamorphosis. Potential blowout of a combat trick here. If you can win the combat with this card, you're killing your opponent's creature and drawing a card, so you're going up a card there, which is great. I think I want a Broker's Initiate here, just more cheap citizens. Throw that in the deck, makes the Observer potentially cheaper, but more importantly gives us more things to throw a Groundbreaker onto without committing too much mana. Okay, Security Bypass is fine, Psionic Snoop is fine, Initiate is fine. I do like the idea of slapping my shovel onto my creatures though, so let's grab the Initiate since it's a citizen. Take a Boon of Safety now. Don't know if it'll make the cut, but we'll see. Another Ominous Parcel or a Halo Scarab. I'll take another Parcel first, I think. Because these are mana fixing or removal. It's not great removal, but the fact that it's both is kind of nice. Alright, Sewer Crocodile, more top and late game stuff. Oh no. Halo Fountain. This card is pretty nuts. You do have to be in an aggressive position where you can afford to keep attacking for this to be good. If you're in a position where your opponent's board state is better than yours and you play a Halo Fountain, you're probably just going to lose because it's really hard to get this to work if you can't consistently tap your creatures, and in order to consistently tap your creatures, you have to consistently attack your opponent. So say you're in a position where you have a 3/3 and a 2/2 on board, and then you slam down a Halo Fountain, but your opponent has like 2 4/4s, this card's going to do nothing and you're going to lose that game. That being said, if you're ahead, it's pretty much always going to win the game. However, there's another card in here that I'm going to take over that's probably going to make a lot of people sad, I'm just going to take Inspiring Overseer over it because this card is 100% good in every single point of the game. If you're ahead, if you're behind, if it's turn 3, if it's turn 20, this card is always a good deal. And so I'm going to take Inspiring Overseer. Again, Halo Fountain is going to really win games when you're ahead, but Inspiring Overseer is going to help a lot in every single game we play today. It's just the best common in the entire format. It's a ridiculously good rate, and we're going to take it over a Halo Fountain there. Now we have a Skycrier or a Civil Servant, which is actually a really hard choice. These are both citizens, which means they're both great with the shovel, and they're both great with Backup Agent. I think I'm going to take the Skycrier here, though. I want some more flyers. And Flying Lifelink is really, really nice to put the Groundbreaker onto. Plus, Civil Servant is in 2 colors, which means it's moderately more likely to wheel. It's a little harder to run. So we'll take that Skycrier there. And there's pretty much nothing for us in this pack. We could take a Snoop, we could take a Speakeasy Server, we could take a Brawlers, but I think pretty much all of those cards are going to end up getting cut. I guess there's a Glittermonger as well. Yeah, don't think I'll end up playing any of these cards. You know, I'm just going to draft for gems at this point. I'm just taking Widespread Thieving because I already own 4. If you ever want to check how many you own, hold down that Alt key. Check mark means 4 out of 4, otherwise it'll tell you the exact numbers. Take another Rafine's Informant here. A little sad to see a Gathering Throng. I am a huge fan of this card. I love playing decks with 3+ Gathering Throngs, and even if you only get 2, it's fine. It's definitely playable. But we can't really expect to get multiple Throngs when the first Throng that we take is going to be pack 3, pick 4. So we'll just take another Informant, incredible 2-mana creature. Probably cutting this Veteran, lowering the blue cards here. Cut this Crocodile, kind of green-white, a little bit of blue. Warm Welcome. They buff this? Oh no, oh no, oh what did they do to Warm Welcome? So we could take Witness Protection or Warm Welcome. I'm going to take this. This is weird. I'm okay with all the adjustments that they made, like adding 1 power or removing a power, because then the cards still functionally play the same. Warm Welcome used to be a 3-mana instant that made 1 citizen. A 4-mana sorcery that makes 2 citizens is going to play dramatically differently. That is very weird. That is very confusing. I'm gonna run it though, just to try it out. But yeah, now we can take a Venom Connoisseur, which is a pretty good 2-drop, especially if we can make 2 1/1s in 1 turn, I guess, to do the give our whole board Death Touch. For the Family is a good combat trick too, but I mean, if I took the weird Warm Welcome, I guess let's get some things that are great if we're putting 2 creatures out in 1 turn. Celebrity Fencer will be another one. Never liked this card at all because 4 mana for a 3/2 is a really bad starting rate, so you definitely need to play more creatures for it to be good. But 4 mana 3/3 helps a lot. 3 toughness is significantly better than 2 toughness, because 3 toughness dies to pretty much any 2 mana creature that anybody's going to play, which means you're trading down very, very far until you start playing extra creatures. But now that it has 3 toughness, you're not trading that far down before you start playing other creatures. And of course, it still has the upside of, as you play other creatures, the card becomes absurd. Take another Metamorphosis, but I'm going pretty low on the blue splash here. Maybe a Shattered Seraph ends up coming in for another giant late game play. Social Climber's fine. Quick Draw Dagger's fine if we're getting into combat on the ground a lot, but I think we have a lot of non-creature spells already, so I don't know if we have room for more. Although I doubt I have room for a Social Climber. I'll just take the Quick Draw Dagger. I don't think either of those ends up in the deck, but we'll find out. Backstreet Bruiser certainly does not end up in this deck. So I'm just going to take the rarest card for Vault Progress. Take a Psionic Snoop here that we will not play. Take a Disdainful Stroke I probably won't play. I already have 1 if I really want it. Body Droppers everywhere. We could have been the triple Body Dropper hyper-aggressive sacrifice deck here. That would have been pretty cool. Pretty fun, but I think we still ended up in a pretty solid place. Green-White Citizens. Multiple Broker's Charms, multiple Adjudicators. I think we are still in a very good deck. So we can cut 7 cards out of this deck. Why does it have 6 islands? I guess I haven't cut all the blue cards I want to cut right now. I mean, ideally, I just make this mana as easy as possible and cut pretty much all the blue cards. And then the only blue cards in deck are Adjudicators and Broker's Charm, which means, again, Arena's being really weird. It wants 4 islands. I guess it doesn't take into account that the Adjudicators mana fix for themselves. So they're essentially just green-white cards because they're splashing for themselves, and they're essentially 2 more blue sources to help cast our Broker's Charms. Although the thing that we have to worry about there is if we top deck a Broker's Charm late game after casting Adjudicators. So we don't want to run less than like 3 islands. But I really don't think I need 4. And we'll take another look at the mana base after we complete the deck here, but let's see. I don't love Boon of Safety. It's probably our weakest non-creature card right now. We're at 18 creatures, plus we have a Warm Welcome, putting 2 citizens out. So I think probably cut Boon of Safety in 2 creatures and call it a deck. Don't love the Cabaret Initiate. Broker's Initiate's a little better, but still not great. Like all of our 2-drops a lot. 3-drops are all pretty good. Cat's the weakest. 4-drops are pretty good. 5-drops are pretty great. And the 6-drops are good. Observer's probably the weakest there. So cut the Boon of Safety and 2 of these. And then we've got a green-white Citizens aggro deck. With double Parcel, we could probably cut down on mana, but again, I should think about mana after I choose all my non-land cards first. I like curving out a lot here with Groundbreaker, Quick Draw Dagger, Double Broker's Charm. Yeah, let's get the curve out and just play those cheap creatures. And I think this is going to be the deck as it comes to non-land cards. Now let's get that mana base in order. 16 white cards, 8 green cards, and 4 blue. So white over anything. We've got 8 white sources right now. Then we have 7 green sources and 3 blue. Sounds pretty accurate to me. Yeah, we have no double white cards in the whole deck. We just need to draw 1 planes to cast all of our white spells. We'd still like to draw 2 so we can cast 2 spells in 1 turn sometimes. But 8 seems like plenty for that. 7 green means we're going to have green vast majority of the time also. And then just 3 blue sources for the Broker's Charms. Yep, seems like pretty excellent mana to me. Let's get some fancy lands in here. And that'll be the deck. Alright, here we have the final build of today's deck. This is going to be a green-white aggro deck at its core with a little blue splash for a couple Broker's Charm. Really flexible removal or card draw, which is nice. We also have a pretty high citizen count to help get our ceremonial Groundbreaker just flopping around all over the board wherever we need it, which can be a huge buff. But yeah, the main power of this deck is we're curving out with a bunch of really strong 2-drops, particularly Double Rafine's Informant being great, and a couple 2-drops that are really good to put the Shovel onto, the Sky Crier, and the backup agent kind of stuff. And then we've got Inspiring Overseer at 3 mana, one of the best cards in the whole format, Mage's Attendant, making our board wide, and we have some pretty good interaction and tricks to try to keep the board clear and keep slamming into our opponent. Quick Draw Dagger, going to win a combat. The Broker's Charms, going to remove a creature, maybe even use this in combat to kill 2 creatures, which would be completely disgusting if that ever happens. Like we attack in with a 2/2 against a 3/3, and then our opponent blocks with the 3/3. We then give the 2/2 +1/+0, kill a different one of their creatures, and trade with the 3/3. Something like that can happen with that +1/+0 ability, which is really, really nasty. There's also Spar's Adjudicators here, which are really good in this deck because they're going to shut off our opponent's best blocker so that we get in for a huge attack and then leave behind a 4/4 body to start swinging with the turn after. So really nice green-white aggro deck here, hoping to just curve out and slam some people with a ton of damage before they play anything too disastrous later in the game. So that's the deck idea. Hopefully it'll work out for us, but we'll see as we head into the gameplay. Right, opponent is on the play here. We've got an excellent hand mana-wise. A couple parcels, though, means we are a tiny bit flooded, but Rafine's Informant can assist us there. And the parcels can be used as removal later in the game as well, instead of just pulling out lands. Opponent is curving out as well. They're on blue-white. Broker's Initiate into Broker's Veteran. So they're curving out, but they are on the play, which is not good for us. Because they have a Broker's Veteran anyway, it's kind of okay if our Informant ends up just being a 2/1. Because even at 3/2 status, it's likely to just end up trading into their 2-1. Ooh, well, Jewel Thief makes that significantly worse. Opponent has an incredible curve, and now they're going to get a counter on Jewel Thief if I take this trade. This is super nasty. I don't think I can really deal with a counter on Jewel Thief, so we have to just let Veteran in for now. Play Skycrier and Broker's Initiate here. Initiate blocks Jewel Thief all day. Just trying to get to 5 mana to blow up their Jewel Thief. This is the second best common in the format. 3 mana 3/3 for a Vigilance Trample. Or 3 mana for a 3/3 Vigilance Trample and a treasure token is just a bonkers deal. Because of that treasure token, it's very close to just 2 mana for a 3/3 Vigilance Trample. Yeah, we're still not about that shield counter life here. Shield Mate. The full curve out. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are falling behind quickly. 1 mana away from starting to pop the ominous parcels. Each player draw a card with Skycrack could gain a life, sending in the attack here. Again, end up blocking it all with it. Feels unlikely. I can trade it off into a shield counter and gain 0 off that block. Ooh. Think I'm not trading it off, so I should just gain a life. Send in the squad. Could trade Informants into a shield counter. Just moderately better than trading Skycrier into one. Down to 15. Definitely need to draw into some gas. I did say a big risk of the hand was flooding out a bit, and we are falling into that risk here. Good lord. Opponent uses every single one of their mana every turn this game. 1 mana turn 1, 2 mana turn 2, 3 mana turn 3, 4 mana turn 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana turn 5 thanks to the treasure token. Broker's Charm. Okay, that is huge. Because I can Broker's Charm with a Skycrier to kill two toughness creatures and gain some life. I think I need to just hold my mana up here. They just draw 1 card this turn, so if it's not interaction during combat, we can get some really good stuff done with this Broker's Charm. Okay. So we block the most damage we can stop, which is right there. And then we have Skycrier kill both of their 4/2s with Broker's Charm at our side. Okay, nice. They dump all their mana into that, so we know that this resolves. And we're back up to 10 from lifelink. Now we have a backup agent. Can't afford to cast backup agent and sacrifice a parcel. I think we're just using a parcel on the initiate because that's essentially a 5/5 at this point. And then blocking Jewel Thief taking 4. And we have to do that while they're tapped out. Last turn. Civil Servant off the top. Not bad. Not bad at all for my opponent. It's not devastating, it's not a bomb or anything, but just putting more creatures on this board is going to make it harder and harder for us to draw out of this. Essentially another Jewel Thief-sized creature. Attacks as a 3/3 trample. If they tap a citizen. Got 6 mana here, so if I don't use my parcel, I can play a Shieldmate and a backup agent, giving me a 3-power creature that has a shield counter on it on blocks, which makes their attacks next turn quite difficult. So I think we do that. Three-power creature with a shield counter on it, so we can trade a shield counter into one of their 3 toughness attackers. Never mind. Backup agent is a very good draw. It's going to make one of their creatures 4 toughness, and it gives them a citizen to essentially crew the Civil Servant, give it the additional power. But the biggest part of that is just being a perfect counterplay to our backup agent, so we can't just trade a single shield counter into Jewel Thief anymore. Yep, this is bad. So now I trade a shield counter and a backup agent into Jewel Thief because of its trample, and then I take 4 and go to 2. Or, alternatively, I take 4 and go to 2 and kill more of their creatures this way. But then they still have a 4/4 Vigilance Trample, but we can blow that up with Ominous Parcel because we haven't killed the Veteran. So this, after this combat, I'm left with a 0/4 and a 3/3 against their 2/1, 4/4 Vigilance Trample, and 1/1. But I can kill the 4/4 Vigilance Trample. Yeah, this seems great. This is the best block for sure. So my board is just bigger than theirs. I do have to just blow up this Jewel Thief before they potentially draw into anything to make it better. Although I guess because, I don't know, unless they draw into literally like Boon of Safety or something, it could have been better to just hold the mana up, because then I'm threatening to buff Broker's Initiate on the block, so they can't attack in anyway. Alright, Celebrity Fencer into Rafine's Informant gives me a 4/4 blocker now. I can send in the Shieldmate. They have to double block to kill it. I'm going to have 2 more blockers, so this seems like a safe attack. The Informant's going to be a little awkward here because we do just mill ourselves one with it instead of actually choosing what we discard, but it's definitely still worth playing to immediately get a counter on Fencer and make sure we have 3 blockers so we don't just die to a removal spell or 2. And we're happy with that self-mill, get 1 land out of the way. Another Broker's Veteran. Now they can double block, kill Shieldmate, get a shield counter on something else. Double block, kill Fencer, get 2 shield counters on backup agent. Chrome Cat, well now they can't. They have to triple block to kill Fencer. So we play Chrome Cat, we start sending in the Fencer. Oh, Speakeasy Server's such a good draw here. I guess they could start chumping with 1 veteran at a time, and they have a lot of blocks here to draw into something, which isn't great for us. Maybe I'm supposed to send Shieldmate in as well, just so they have less time to go chump block every turn. Exotic pets. Well, it's a good thing we're drawing in a Speakeasy Server, but that's going to put a really quick clock on us. 2 damage every turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to gain 6 life here. Be at 8. 4 turn clock for them to kill us. And they definitely have enough power to kill Celebrity Fencer. It's going to require blocking with most of their creatures. We do send in Shieldmate now. We are under a time pressure here to kill them. So let's try to whittle down as many of their creatures as we can. Okay, they're just going to have a shield counter on both fishes here. Sure thing. We can outrace 2 fishes, even if they're incredibly indestructible. And they can't attack with them here, they're just dead. Broker's Ascendancy is bad for us, but we're still winning the race. Because they can't afford to attack with either right now. I get to activate Initiate here. They go block, block, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They go to 1 life here, and they have to block the creatures that just bounce their shield counters. Then they attack us for 4 and die next turn. They need to draw pretty big out here. And it's just a land. It's going to be a huge recovery there. Huge turnaround over a long, hard-fought game to lead us into 1-0 to start this draft off. Here we are, game 2. Opponent's going to be on the play again. Definite keep for us. We've got the Informant, the Backup Agent, and the Venom Connoisseur. Many good 2-mana plays. Opponent has nothing turn 2 here. They could have a Make Disappear to counter our turn 2 play. We'll see what they've got here. Alright. No 2-drop creature then. I don't think there's a massive use in playing around that. None of these 2-drops are significantly better than the others. Informant is a little better than the other 2, but not so much that it's worth like trying to bait out the counter there. I think we just play Connoisseur this turn. I could play Connoisseur and Parcel if I play an untapped land, but I think I want to just get the tapped land out of the way. And they could also just have 2 Make Disappears here. Looks like a no. There was 0 thought put in there while we were casting that, so unlikely to have another 2-mana counter spell, unless it's like Disdainful Stroke that couldn't counter Connoisseur. Echo Inspector coming on out. Going to be a 3/4 flyer. Luckily this thing gains Death Touch every time I play a creature, so they're not going to have any good blocks for that. We can just Death Touch their Inspector away. With 4 mana, what am I doing? We're not going to be tutoring for land with Parcel unless I draw a blue card. So, could hold up a quick draw dagger, but then Connoisseur doesn't have Death Touch, so it does just die to Echo Inspector, so I kind of have to play my creature this turn pre-combat. So we just play Backup Agent. I think I'm just putting a counter on itself. Although I could really incentivize the trade with Connoisseur by putting a counter on Connoisseur. I'm not sure that's even great for me though, so I'm just going to put the counter on the Backup Agent. Okay, we play our Parcel, and we pass the turn. Inspiring Overseer, exceptional card. We've got one of those as well. And Echo Inspector is coming right on in. And Overseer gets to really easily just sign up for a trade with Connoisseur. We might be on Quick Draw Dagger this turn. Or just attack with Backup Agent. So I don't really want to trade Connoisseur into Overseer, although if they're going to keep attacking me with Inspector, I don't really need to give my board Death Touch. Yeah, we might just play Speakeasy Server this turn. They might not even block. But I would definitely understand a block of Overseer into Connoisseur, because it's already got its value, and Connoisseur can do some nasty stuff later. Yeah, I think I would rather just cast Speakeasy Server here. If they've got Disdainful Stroke, I will cry. They do not. Could have gained one more life if I did that pre-combat, but then I wasn't holding up Quick Draw Dagger in case they did anything particularly sneaky. Maybe they had their own trick or something that we could beat with a Quick Draw Dagger. Like For the Family, we could beat that. But I guess they're exclusively blue-white. Technically Obscura, they do have a Shattered Seraph, but played exclusively blue and white sources. Sleep with the Fishes on Speakeasy server, that's pretty bad for us. We can just parcel away this Inspector, and they're down to just a 1/1 on board, though. They are going to play a 4/5. They buffed the Seraph's toughness. They made the Seraph out of range from Ominous Parcel. Uh-oh. If my opponent gets a 7th land next turn, I'm in a really bad spot. I can't even kill that thing with the Parcel. Yikes. I mean, I think I'm just killing Inspector. I have a Boon of Safety for one. Slip out the back. Okay. It's an uncommon, much harder to play around uncommons. Could have played around Boon of Safety, though, and not went for that. Well, at least they didn't hit the land for the Shattered Seraph, but we're in a really bad spot. Now they have multiple creatures that are out of range from our removal. They have the Echo Inspector and a Shattered Seraph. Rather than counter the Parcel than the Initiate. Seems like they might have Make Disappear. Alright, they both resolve. Here comes the Shattered Seraph. That's going to be impossible to race, but that's the only way we could win here is if we somehow outrace it. So we certainly can't block it. We are dead next turn in the Sky. Sky Crier stops that from being lethal. If they can't kill our Sky Crier, then we do survive their next attack. And if they block anything, we can shoot the Seraph for the last bit of damage and take 5. I feel like if I attack all here, they just don't block. So we get our damage in. Then we have to play Sky Crier pass. I mean, I guess if they block Seraph onto Initiate, I can just spend the 5, and none of these can block their creatures anyway. Okay. Well, I can't spend the 5 here, or I'm dead. So, Sky Crier, fingers crossed. No removal. Alright. We maybe live another turn? They have a combat trick that kills us too. Metamorphosis? Yep, they got it. One and one. Here we are in game 3 on the play this time. This is going to be sweet. Our first game on the play. Let's go. Let's just steamroll somebody if we can. Oh, I forgot this is only 1 mana to do now. That is so good. Yeah, our mana's perfect in this hand as well. We just need 1 land. This is ridiculous. This is a beautiful hand. Parcel gets us a land. If I draw into a land, though, I'll discard the Parcel. Okay, I didn't draw into a land, so I might actually want to keep the Parcel. I'm trying to hit 5 mana for Adjudicator, so maybe we get rid of the Fencer. At 4 mana, it's pretty expensive. We're pretty far from casting that. I kind of need Parcel to be able to get a land later, potentially. Yeah. A little rough. We hit a land next turn, we are golden. Then I can cast everything in my hand except the Adjudicators. So we just roll out with an Attendant. Alright, we did not hit a land. Kinda have to parcel then. I could Skycrier. It's only adding 1 more damage each turn though, so I think it's better to just guarantee this next land gets hit. I'm going to grab the blue source so we can afford these charms even after we cast Adjudicators, because it's quite likely we'll want to play Adjudicators before we play the charms. If I hit more lands here, that is. If I don't hit more lands, if I never hit 5 mana, obviously I'll cast the charms first, because I can actually afford those. Alright, Crew Captain, 4-2 haste, come on in. We got a Ceremonial Groundbreaker here. I think we're just playing Mage's Attendant though. Opponent's got the unlands. They've got the ones that are from the ground level of each planet. I prefer the ones that are like out in space where you're just looking at the planet from afar. Those are like really cool. I think I can outrace with double Broker's Charm. I'm going to take this damage. Again, if we hit land drops, we 100% can outrace. We just need to make sure we can outrace without hitting them. Oh, wow, okay. Well, that was good for our opponent. Ooh, and that was good for us. Oh, best possible draw on the deck, Inspiring Overseer into land. Beautiful. Now we even get to hold up the counterspell ability on the wizard so they can't cast a non-creature spell this turn for all of their mana. Looks like both of us are stuck on mana. They're still on 3 over there. So, not like maximum punished for it here. Play a Skycrier or a Quick Draw Dagger. Both are kind of equally impactful, so I'm just going to attack in and play the Quick Draw Dagger if they go for the block. I was going to say both of these just add 1 more damage every turn total. So, if they go for the block, we get to kill Body Dropper and start doing 1 additional damage every turn from now on. If I just play the Skycrier, then I'm just doing 1 more every turn and not killing a Body Dropper. Riveteer's Initiate. It gives itself Death Touch. Got the 5 mana for Adjudicators here. Probably the play. That's the most power we can put on the board this turn. And they can't go for a trade. Can't go for a block at all here. And with double Broker's Charm, getting really close to just finding lethal next turn. If we're lucky, we just kill them next turn. But definitely in a couple turns. We have enough power on board to kill them. But they're likely to have 2 blockers up, and we can't get through 2 blockers in 1 turn, unless I top deck an island. Then I could double Broker's Charm, I guess. Looks like they might have removal here to throw at our 4/4. In which case we definitely don't have lethal next turn. Yep, murder the 4/4. Past turn, we've got an Ominous Parcel. Kind of want to Skycrier and hold up a Broker's Charm, but I could just cast the Broker's Charm right now to hit them for 5. Which feels kind of worth it. I'm definitely playing Skycrier this turn. Yeah, it's probably worth it to just hit them for 5 this turn. I still have a Broker's Charm left over for next turn. I'm so happy that Magic has entered the era of just giving us new full arts in every set. It's so cool to see the variety of lands you can choose from now. It's fantastic. I love it. Opponent, unfortunately, does not have any responses there, so we are going to be 2-1 now as we head into Game 4. Game 4 now, we have perfect mana thanks to Ominous Parcel. So snap keep. Plan is Venom Connoisseur on turn 2, and Overseer on 3. We've got a pretty good curve. Turn 2, turn 3, turn 4 we can crack a Parcel and cast a Broker's Charm. If there is something we want to kill at that point, which is likely. Our opponent is on Brokers as well. Ooh, Rafine's Informant instead. It does seem pretty good here. Get a 3-2 down, discard the Speakeasy Server if we hit a land. Okay, well if we hit another Speakeasy Server, definitely discard one of the two of those. Actually, it's possible if we hit a land there, we're supposed to discard the Connoisseur, since it doesn't fit into the curve well anymore. Rigo, that's not good. That is, in fact, very bad for us. Okay, that's not horrible until they start making fish tokens, but if they make fish tokens, they are going to have mountains of card advantage. We'll be in a pretty bad spot. Could trade Informants for a shield counter, but I don't think that's something I want to do right now. I think I want to just get a Celebrity Fencer down and start attacking with creatures that are too big for Rigo to kill. I'd like to start attacking with flyers as well, but they do have a Gilded Pinions they can equip to Rigo to give it flying. If they don't have anything else to do with their mana, they can just stop me from hitting them with Overseer. Yeah, even without the bonus text, just a 2-2 with a shield counter on it here is a bit of a brick wall. Because we don't really feel like trading into a shield counter. Rarely is that something you want to do. Our opponent's on 4 color here, which is nice. Green, blue, white, and black. Love to see it. Love to see it. That is very cool. They have a Scuttling Butler, so if they control 2 or more multicolored permanents, that thing's going to be a double striker. Alright. Opponent's got a spooky deck. Hypnotic Grifter is also small enough that they can attack with it with Rigo and draw a card. But then we can just kill it on blocks if they don't connive like twice. Just make it a 2-3. We trade with Informant here. We have 4 mana now, so we just play Fencer and pass. I could hold up... Actually, I can't Broker's Charm because I haven't parceled for my blue source yet. Yeah, that makes this turn very simple. We just play Fencer, attack for 2, and pass. Yeah, it's very cool to see some actually multicolored stuff happening in the multicolored format. I think multicolored stuff is cooler in Capenna than it is Dominaria. Because Dominaria is just like splashing a bunch of 2-color cards. But Capenna, it's like, if they're going full multicolored, you're going to see a bunch of 3-color stuff. I don't know why, but 3-color stuff, because there's just more to work for. It's harder to get those 3 colors. It just feels more impressive and cooler when your opponent just all of a sudden... Like, if this opponent played a Mountain and then played a Riveteers card, I would be happy for... Oh my god, they did! They didn't play a Mountain, but they did play a Riveteers card. Opponent is 5-color. That is super cool. And now we're just dying to Butler real fast, because that's a second multicolored permanent. We're taking 8. If I double block... I guess we kill Butler if I double block, right? They have 4 first striking damage. 1, 2, 3, 4. I lose 2 creatures, but I get rid of Butler if I block. That doesn't feel great. Especially when I have Broker's Charm in hand. I guess I take 8 damage. Ow. Masked Bandits is now a 5/6. That is terrifying. Warm Welcome's really good here. Make Fencer a 5/5. I feel like I have to pick up an island, get this Broker's Charm ready. I can't play anything else but Broker's Charm this turn if I do that, though. But I'm pretty sure I'm just getting rid of Butler. Thing is just devastating. Could sack the parcel to get rid of it instead, but I am going to potentially need this blue source for other spells as well. Taking a big Masked Bandits hit here too, though. This doesn't feel great. Could be a Masked Bandits with flying as well. They put the pinions on it. 5/6 Vigilance, Menace, flying. They're going to give flying to the Hypnotic Grifter instead, so they can start drawing cards off of it with Rego. Cool. I could have held up the Overseer to play around that, but then our opponent can just connive in response when we block with Overseer and kill the Overseer without losing the Grifter. No trick, fingers crossed. Cool. See, at this point I'm going for the trade, because then they're down to just Rego Grifter, which I think we can get through. Especially if this parcel resolves. Oh, they've got the full 5-color out now. I'm into it. Opponent's deck is sweet. They need to connive a lot to save the Grifter. Connive one time for value. And Grifter is dead. Okay. Well, I'm not chump blocking. Getting rid of a shield counter to gain 2 life. Oh no, Rakish Revelers. 5/3 and a 1/1 now. Warm Welcome should be pretty good for us, but the fact that they're getting a 1/1 off this Revelers is real bad, and they have 2 creatures to play, Revelers and Civil Servant. And Civil Servant is nasty with that 1/1 Citizen token. Starts attacking as a 3/3 Trampler. We're just going to give Rego flying. Okay. Playing it real defensive. I'm very okay with that, because that means they didn't play the Revelers this turn, so I'm taking a lot less damage than I could have been. 4, 5, 6. 7 mana. I can play Warm Welcome and Connoisseur. I think that's what I want to do, and then I Speakeasy Server later after I have the Citizens. I'm going to play Connoisseur first so I could get an attack in with Overseer, since it's not going to block well anyway. Reveal a creature card. I get one of these. Probably Mage's Attendant. Although Skycrier for that life gain is nice too. I only have 1 white source still at this point. That's really rough. If I had double white, it'd easily be Mage's Attendant, because then I can cast Mage's Attendant and Speakeasy Server next turn. I guess if I top deck a Plains, I can do that. Oh, maybe it's supposed to be Skycrier, so I get a little bit of lifelink. Rocks Pummeler, so I can try to trample over for lethal. It's a hard choice. I'm pretty sure I'm casting Server next turn. This might be a little greedy, but if we top deck into a Plains now, our next turn is phenomenal. Nice trade overseer into the servant. Super happy with that. They're still thinking they might undo this. Okay. Get rid of that civil servant. Alright, here's the Revelers, a 5-3 and a 1-1. Put the pinions on the Revelers, so we're dead in 2 attacks in the sky. Yep, Speakeasy server trades into that 1-for-1 though. Ah. Oh, that's nasty. That's disgusting. That's probably the worst draw in our deck. The only reason we'd need a land is if it's a white source. That is rude stuff from Arena there. Kind of feel like I have to just server. Could hold that. I do have one more way to connive in this deck, one more Rafine's Informant. So just in case I draw into the other Rafine's Informant, maybe I hold on to the land. I'm going to draw a card off of Rigo here. And maybe combat trick us out of the game. We'll see. Alright, no combat trick. We're still in there. But Rigo is putting in a lot of work here. Drawing our opponent a lot of cards. We've actually drawn one more card than our opponent here. But I think part of that is because we tutored a land out with Parcel, tutored creature out with Welcome, connived with Rafine's Informant. Yeah, connive doesn't really count as going up a card, and then Parcel just going up a land is not... Well, it's not going up a card, because you just turn the Parcel into a land. So I think opponent has straight up drawn more cards than us. We've just like pulled more cards out of our deck at the cost of another card. I can Adjudicators and Mage's Attendant this turn, because I've got... Actually, no, I have exactly not enough. Because I would need to filter this into mana, so I'd have to spend 1 mana to turn one of our other lands into a white source, which would then leave me with 2 untapped lands for Mage's Attendant. If I had 2 white sources, I could cast both of these. I am fairly certain I just play Adjudicators and attack with everybody. Yep. Again, in order to cast both of these spells, I would have had to spend 1 mana to filter this onto a land. 2 mana is not enough mana to play Mage's Attendant before Adjudicators and still play Adjudicators afterward. Can't block anything they have anyway, so we're sending the squad in. This is pretty cool with me. Get rid of one of these fish and a shield. No more Venom Connoisseur, so if they happen to play a really big blocker, that'll be bad. Oh my god. Glamorous Outlaw. That's a really big blocker. Well, that is going to be bad then. Rigo's already just going to town. Broker's Charm is something, but again, with the single white source, I cannot play that and Mage's Attendant. Get rid of the Glamorous Outlaw. Can also kill the fish so they stop drawing extra cards. Could draw 2. If I go to combat here and they block with Outlaw, I can Broker's Charm to kill the fish and the Outlaw, but then I lose my 4/4 and I'm still facing like bigger stuff than I have. I think I have to just kill Outlaw. But now this Fixer thing, it only gets +1/+1 each turn. They only have 1 green source. Yeah, I guess this thing's basically a 3/3. Yeah. So that's Adjudicators. Try its absolute hardest to stay in this game. To keep us in this game. They can double block here. We knock the shield off Rigo and kill Fixer. Yep. Rigo is just running an entire marathon at this point. Here's Briefcase for another 1/1. That's one of the big 5-color payoffs as well. They can sack that to draw a couple cards. Can I please stop drawing white cards with 1 white source? It's so rough. That's all we can do. What have you got, opponent? Pinions onto the Jewel Thief. Attack us for the maximum amount of damage. We're dead in 2 attacks. And opponent is still drawing an extra card every single turn from Rigo. Draw 3 off Courier's Briefcase. It's another white card. Oh, Lord. Alright, well, we're dead on board anyway, so that is game. Very cool deck from our opponents. Kind of lost. Primarily just a Rigo there, drawing them so many cards. Without that card draw engine from Rigo, we were doing a pretty good job trying to catch up. Even with the Rigo on board for a few turns there, but the Rigo just never stops drawing those cards. Very cool deck from our opponent, though. Very, very nice to see 5-color work out. 2-2. Here we are in game 5 now. This is a dramatically slow hand here. We do have perfect mana. Great 4s and 5s. I feel like I have to mulligan this because it doesn't do anything until turn 4. It's a rough mulligan though, because it's like the only problem with it. Yeah, I'm gonna mulligan it. Alright, this hand gets the ball rolling with Rafine's Informant turn 2. It's got 3 lands thanks to Parcel. Big keep, probably get rid of the 5-drop. Yep. Here we go. Ooh, a Broker's Initiate. Doesn't actually really do anything till turn 5, so play the Parcel first so that when I need the land I only have to spend 1 more mana to get it. Now turn 3 I can just crack a Parcel and play an Initiate. Illuminator Virtuoso. Ooh, we hit the land. Might end up discarding this Broker's Initiate here. Yeah. That or Backup Agent. It's definitely not the Island. Or the Groundbreaker. How do we curve out next turn? Next turn we play a 3-drop, turn 4. 3 mana to equip that there. Or I could just play either of these and equip to it. I think I'd get rid of Initiate. It's gonna be a lot of mana before it actually does anything. Making it a 5/5. Inspiring Overseer, very good stuff from our opponent. Spara's Adjudicators. Now we've got a great turn 5 play, so we may end up cracking this ominous parcel after all. I think for now I'm just gonna slam down a Ceremonial Groundbreaker. Pass. Could have went for Backup Agent Attack there instead, because then I have a 3 toughness creature. They'd have to double block to kill it. So I'd hit them for 4 there. But I like setting up the very powerful equipment here. Because the Backup Agent isn't really going to do any blocking against this Double Striker right now. But it can if it's got a Groundbreaker attached. Oh god, Security Bypass, Illuminator Virtuoso, time for a Broker's Charm. That is a devastating combo that is available in this format. The Virtuoso, of course, a Double Striker, conniving every time it hits us. With the Security Bypass and being unblockable is just horrifying, because it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and kill us really quickly. So we need to just Broker's Charm and shoot that thing to death as soon as possible. I could play it a tiny bit safer and just Broker's Charm to destroy the enchantment. That would play around my opponent having a Boon of Safety to put a shield counter on the Virtuoso. But at this point, if I just choose to destroy Security Bypass, even if the Virtuoso isn't unblockable, it's a 3/3 Double Striker that will still just die to. So I kind of have to just hope for the best here and hope that this works out. Okay, it does work out. They do not have the Boon of Safety. So let's probably maybe crack Parcel, maybe filter Adjudicators. One of those two. If I crack Parcel, I know I can play Adjudicators next turn. Oh my god. Rabble-rousing. Pretty nasty card. Incredibly difficult to beat. It's going to give them a 1/1 citizen every time they attack, and if they ever get to 10 creatures, they get to cast a spell for free. Really doesn't need that extra text to be completely busted. Yep, that is really, really bad for us. Now we need to draw our next Broker's Charm. Yeah, blowing up one creature isn't going to win the game against a Rabble-rousing, so we might as well just make sure we can play Adjudicators next turn, if nothing else. This also pulls a land out of the deck, makes it less likely that we draw more lands instead of outs. Not making it dramatically less likely, but we're making it a tiny bit. Lock the Overseer, because that gets to attack in without dying and expand their board state. The 1/1 on the ground does have to die after it attacks. So their board state will remain the same size, unless they play Celestial Regulator to tap down my blocker, then they are going wide still. Yeah, it's just incredibly bad. Not much to say, not much to do here. Put as much trampling damage as we can, and then move this equipment back over to the Backup Agent so we have multiple blockers on the ground that can kill these two 1/1s. But since I can't block the flyers anyway by attacking like this, I'm putting as much pressure on my opponent's life total as possible, so we might be able to win the game through combat damage and outrace the Rabble-rousing, while still holding up as many blockers as actually do something. We just need 2 blockers on the ground. for their 2 ground creatures. 0 blockers in the sky anyway, no matter what we do. Rock's Pummeler, it's another big trampler. It's something. But they're going to cast whatever's under Rabble Rousing for free next turn, pretty much guaranteed. We're also getting pretty close to dead, right? We take 3 in the sky no matter what. I block with 3 creatures and I take 1 more, so I take 4 damage. Yeah, I mean, I think I am sending in Adjudicators again, playing Rock's Pummeler. Oh, they're just going to lethal me next turn. I'm going to give the whole board +1/+1 or something like that. Or whatever's under the Rabble Rousing kills me. Attacking with just enough to cast their spell for free. It's going to be an Echo Inspector. I guess attacking with 1 more than they needed to. They have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 potential toughness to block with, and we have 15 power? If they somehow have no more creatures in hand, we can kill them if we leave Trample on Rock's Pummeler. So just cross our fingers, maybe. Still exact lethal if they play no creatures here. Oh no, I miscounted. That's 13. Why did I think it was 15? 13 power against 10 toughness. I mean, Speakeasy Server is huge. I think we have to do it pre-combat. We definitely don't die on the next attack now, at least. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If they lose 0 creatures here, but they have to lose creatures to not die. If I send an Informant, though, they just block Informant with Inspector and stop 6 damage out of these. Stopping 6 damage off of these deals 7 damage to them, though. So they can't choose to Echo Inspector block on Informant unless they have more tricks in hand where we're just going to lose anyway. Right, block there, they have 6 toughness. Take 7. Yeah. Okay. We are definitely losing this game. I tried. I went for it. That was our only chance there. Somehow just cheese out the outrace with all that trample. Did put them to 1 here. It's kind of wild. Celebrity Fencer, they get a blocker on the ground. They can't attack with all their flyers, or I just kill them Speakeasy Server. Okay, attack with all the 1/1s to have 1,000,000 power on the ground, 1,000,000 power and toughness. I can shut off their 3/4 flying blocker, then they have to chump block with their other 2 flyers this turn. Which means I kill those. That can't attack me. 7, 8. They attack me with 8 creatures, which doesn't kill me. Okay, if they can't counter this, game's not completely over. Because if they have no removal or no flyers, 1 more attack from Speakeasy Server gets their next turn now. I trample over for exactly the 1 damage I need. I can't move my equipment over now, or the speakeasy server dies this turn. Oh, well. I guess I can go screw myself. Oh my god. Celebrity Fencer just flying around. Alright. That was so close. It's a 2-3 run here, but some really rough losses. I'm still going to be proud of how close I got in some of these losses against some really, really nasty decks. Almost kept up with the Rego and almost outraced a rabble rousing. It's a 2-3, but it's not a horrible feeling 2-3. We lost to some very, very good decks. Well, that is it for this deck. We're the biggest overperformers, underperformers. Everything was fine. I think this deck just didn't really have a lot of bomb power. We were pretty reliant on curving out as best as we could and just trying to keep things clear just long enough to outrace our opponent. We didn't have anything that was just like, I play it, my opponent has to deal with it or they die. And I think this is a somewhat bomb-heavy format. So without anything that just single-handedly wins us the game, that was probably the biggest weakness of this deck. Like, we didn't have a rabble rousing, we didn't have a Rego, we didn't have anything like that. That just takes over the game. No brokers ascendancy. We saw an opponent with that as well. That was probably the biggest weakness. Second biggest weakness was the mana base. I think the parcels were definitely a bit slow, and that wasn't great for us. But with the mana base, with only one dual land, I kind of felt the parcels were necessary. They did shoot some things for 4, but yeah, we could have used a little bit better removal than the double parcel here. The Broker's Charms were good, but one of the games we lost was against some 4/5 flyers that we just couldn't kill because our removal was dealing 4 damage. So yeah, having some better removal in place of these parcels would have been pretty good, and maybe some better lands. But yeah, other than that, the biggest thing is just nothing with real bomb power in this deck. We're just trying to just consistently curve out as best as we can, and getting it handed to us by some very powerful cards. So that is going to end that draft. Once again, no massive takeaways about the difference between this format and regular Streets of New Capenna. I do think that a lot of the adjustments are good. I think it's nice to have these mana fixing cards be a bit better, be only 1 mana to put them on your lands. It does make it more possible to play more multicolored decks. So I think they did a decent job at powering up some of the weaker cards in the format and changing things in some interesting ways, like the Warm Welcome for 2 creatures now, making maybe some of the Cabaret cards a little better, because you can get 2 creatures off this one card, get 2 triggers. That's kind of cool. But as much as they made some more things viable or gave some things some more options, made Celebrity Fencer a little better and stuff like that, made the Cabaret cards a little better, it definitely feels like they didn't really do anything when it comes to actually balancing out the colors super well. Because I still find myself very drawn to the Broker's cards and trying to end up in Brokers or getting past, Broker's Charms and stuff like that and ending up in the color pair. And I find myself playing against a bunch of Brokers because it just still feels like the strongest of the families by a good portion. And also when it comes to their goal of adding to the 3-color stuff, feels like that worked a tiny bit, where we did see that one 5-color deck that was pretty good and pretty cool looking. So that was cool. But when it comes to actually lowering the amount of just 2-color aggro decks, I don't really think that worked, because we played against multiple today. We played against multiple the first time. I almost ended up drafting just black-red aggro. I think just 2-color aggro with a splash of a 3rd color is very much still a thing, and very much probably the strongest thing you can do. And it's literally what our deck was. It's basically just green-white aggro, blue splash. Doesn't really feel like they added too much to grindier, slower, full 3-color decks or anything like that, but still cool to come back to New Capenna, even if the changes haven't drastically affected the format. But that is going to end today's draft. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed drafting the set. If you did and you want to see some more, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send some more of these videos to you in your recommended feeds. And as always, thanks again very much for watching, and I'll see you soon for some more Magic Arena.